I'm Geoff Dickinson, and I was appointed to the headship of Grove School for April 1972, and I retired in July 1997. The Berks is a glorious educational opportunity to give children an experience that they can't get in the school situation. Now, in education, we should be looking at all experiences that are valuable and safe and worthwhile, rather than just saying it's what you can do in classrooms and in schools. And therefore I think field centres of this sort play a very valuable part in the education of children. In 1985 I received a letter from the Forestry Commission to say that the lease was ending, and much to my surprise it was not going to be renewed because they were going to sell the building. Well, by that time, from 1972 to 1985, we'd sent a large number of children there, and most people realised, and I realised, how valuable it was as an experience for them. And in spite of the shock, my first reaction was, what on earth would we do if we lost the Berks? All those experiences would be very difficult to find, and where would we find somewhere else? So we talked about it and really wondered whether we could seriously consider buying it. And I went back to the Forestry Commission about it, and they said it was going to auction, which came as a nasty shock, because obviously from a school situation you couldn't go into an open auction. Anyway, with an exchange of letters and whether I met somebody from the Forestry Commission, they said we would be given first option to buy. And then we took the rather bold decision we're going to try and raise enough money and buy this centre because we think it's so important. And really it was just like pulling a cork out of a dam. Once we said we were going to buy it, everybody, parents and staff, really piled in, and we raised the money fairly easily. And I felt that that was one of the big accomplishments of me being at the Grove. For the children to be away, many of them for the first time without their parents or elder brothers and sisters, and have to get on with members of their tutor group, to react with their tutor group in other than a schoolroom situation, and to see members of staff outside the school situation, to have to cooperate and fend for themselves or suffer the consequences. I believe, in fact, these are all vital experiences and would not be provided and could not be provided in a normal school situation. My first knowledge of the Berks was when a member of staff called Roger Anderton came to see me and told me about this farmhouse that they had in the Lake District. This would be in the summer term of 1972. Up to that point I hadn't heard anything at all about the Berks. There had been no mention about it in the interview process. So he told me all about it. So I was interested to see this Berks farmhouse, to see first of all its position, and secondly how big it was. So I went up to the Berks and was quite impressed with its position, and even more impressed when I realised that this could take a fair-sized group of children, and therefore I realised that this was obviously a big asset to the school and would produce a whole lot of learning experiences for the children. It was May the 5th, 1972, and it was an article in the Market Rate and Advertiser where it said that children were starting to go to the Berks for the summer term. 2 members of staff and Mr. Dickinson, the headmaster, was going with them. So that was my first visit to the Berks. The vast majority of staff were prepared to go with their tutor groups because they realised it would be a good experience for the children. It was important to maintain, with the staff changeover, that new people to the school, first of all, knew about the Berks, and to ask them whether or not they would consider going. And most of the younger staff particularly, I wouldn't normally bother the heads of departments or more senior staff with that question, but I used to ask the younger staff, and most of them would say yes. You've got to methodically start recruiting and training up people who will be happy to take over when the present Fog's lot want to back out, either for retirement purposes, leaving the area, heaven forbid illness, or whatever. And that, I think, is part of the challenge ahead.